Welcome back to our homestead. Have you ever wondered how big of a garden you would need to feed your entire family full time? Well, today we're going to talk about 7 factors that will greatly impact the size of garden that you will need to plant. Let's go. If you're new to our channel, welcome. We want you to be here permanently. So head below, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. All right, let's get back to the gardening. So there are a lot of sources out there that give you information about how big your garden should be. And I'm here to tell you that I think they are all incorrect. Some are okay, and some are way off, especially if you want to feed your family exclusively from your garden. A lot of these sources say 100 square feet per person in your household is enough to feed you. And I'm here to say that that's flat out wrong. That is absolutely not enough to feed your family year-round. Now in the past, I punched in my numbers into some gardening size calculators, and some of them have been pretty decent. They have suggested either 2 to 3 times that initial 400 square foot that I was talking about, or 100 square foot per person. So some of them have suggested 800 to 1200 square feet. And I'm here to tell you that that is not close to being enough. One of the questions that you initially have to ask yourself when you're starting your garden and planning out your garden is, how much food do I want to produce for my family? Is that a snacking garden or like a kitchen garden where you supplement your grocery shopping with what you grow in your garden? Or you want to be fully self-sustaining? That is the question you need to ask yourself first. So I'm here to tell you that you are going to need to double or triple the size of your garden from what you actually think you need. And here are those 7 reasons why you need to do that. Right behind me is actually reason number 1 and 2. Those reasons are disease and pests. Now you can see this poor cucumber here that we actually purchased from the store because all of our other cucumbers that we direct seeded around it died, and as you can see, this one is also dying. This is what's called bacterial wilt, and it is actually pest-borne. It is caused by the cucumber beetle. What they do is they bite the plant, and the bacteria transfers from their jaws, their mandibles, onto the plant, and the plant does not survive. So that's a huge factor that needs to be taken into account. Why? Because I have been able to grow on this property for 3 years straight so many cucumbers that I have to give them away to other people. This year, I will have none. Now, I did direct seed them someplace else, and I am very fortunate to live in a zone that has a long growing season, especially for cucumbers. So I may have cucumbers this season. But if you're planning on cucumbers to feed your family, and then that is reduced down to 0 because of either pests or disease, then that's something you need to factor in. Factor number 3 is soil health. Now, we've been amending this soil for several years, and it keeps getting healthier, but it is not at its optimal health as of yet. When we put down the original compost, we had much more production than we do now because the amendments that we've added hasn't brought it back up to that stage yet. But over time, you're going to need to continue to amend your soil to help you produce more. Factor number 4 is weather. Weather really affects the production of your fruits and vegetables. As you can see here behind me, I have okra. And this okra should be about 2 feet tall right now. It was planted April 1st. As you can see, they're about 2 inches tall. Now that could have something to do with soil health, but it's been incredibly mild here in zone 8B this spring, and okra needs really warm temperatures, really warm soil temperatures to germinate properly and to grow properly. So it has gotten an incredibly slow start. So hopefully we will get our proper yield out of the okra this year. Just in case though, I planted double the amount that I normally do. So that 5th factor that will impact your yield in your garden are the seasons. Now, what do you mean by that? I mean that you have several different growing seasons depending on where you live. And if you succession plant your garden, then you're going to yield more, meaning you can have a smaller garden in size. But if you have a limited time frame, say you're way in the north in Idaho, a limited time frame to plant, then you're going to need to plant everything that you need to plant at one time, because you're only going to have one shot at it. So down here, I'm very lucky. I have 3 seasons essentially that I can plant in: spring, summer, and fall. And I can get different crops in right one after another and yield higher amounts of food out of the garden because of that. So factor number 6 is the variety of fruit or vegetable that you plant. Some varieties are just way more productive than others, and you're going to need to do your research into whatever fruit or vegetable it is. Now, take these Wando peas, for example, right here. They're incredibly productive. Way more productive, in my experience, than a sugar Ann or a sugar snap pea. Let's take my onions, for example. My yellow Granix onions yield a much bigger bulb than my superior onions. So that is something I needed to factor in when I planted my onions. And I planted many more onions this year because I had more superiors than yellow Granix. So to give you an idea of how big our garden is, it is 1,300 planted square feet. And that does not include the areas where we plant our perennials, our asparagus and our raspberries and loganberries. Has this garden been able to produce enough food for us? No, it has not. So 1,300 square feet for our family of 4, it has not been able to produce. So all the factors that I've talked about, including one more, which is your family, is going to make a big difference. So our family, we have 2 small girls. They are starting to eat more and more, and they absolutely love eating everything out here in the garden. If you have teenagers, that's going to make a huge difference in the size of garden that you plant, especially if you want to be more self-sustaining and feed your entire family from your garden. Now, another thing you're going to have to ask yourself, another factor beyond those 7, is if you want to preserve your food for storage. Whether you want to can it or freeze it or whatever you want to do with it and save it for a rainy day, store it up, you're going to need to factor that into the size of your garden. Additionally, something else to think about is your planting method. So in this area of our garden, we have a back to Eden raised bed style of garden, and we also have on the other side, we've got a tilled area. Now, both of those you can plant fairly close together, but our back to Edens are 4 feet wide by usually 22 to 25 feet long, and the tilled area is 10 feet wide by about 35 feet long, both areas. That's going to make a big difference, because if you want to do square foot gardening, that might yield you a little bit less in that case. If you want to do, say, hydroponics or vertical gardening, which we do some vertical gardening. We trellis our cucumbers. If you haven't seen that video, head up here and check out that video on how we trellis our cucumbers. But if you do that, you're going to save space, meaning you can obviously have a little bit smaller of a garden if you're doing that vertical gardening. Now, say hydroponics, that's going to take up a totally different amount of space than what you would do out here in a soil tilled or, back to Eden deep mulch type of garden. So I'm going to link in the description below a great paper by the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources at Michigan State University. This helps you determine how many of certain varieties of vegetables that you need and how big of a row and so on and so forth. It's a good guide to start with. Let's say, for example, from the paper, you want to plant snap peas. Now, of course, it's going to depend on variety, but to yield 12 pounds of peas, they say that you need about a 30-foot row with about 90 plants. So it gives you the poundage, the row length, and the number of plants that you need for all of those. I hope that helps you. So that's why I'm saying that you need to triple the size of what you think you need for your garden. Because out of our 1,300 square feet here, I still have not been able to feed my family full time and be self-sustaining here with this size of garden. Now, I have plans this summer, to expand it, and that will help me in the fall growing season. Thanks for being here. Now I want you to go check out this video right here, which shows you how we make a neem oil and organic soap solution that helps keep pests off of our garden vegetables. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.